Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video talking to you about the belt that I've been wearing as part of my everyday carry setup for the last few months now. Honestly, in my opinion, I think the belt is one of the most overlooked aspects to the everyday carry system for a lot of people. People will spend a bunch of money on holsters, on knives, on guns, on other cool little EDC gear for them. A lot of people seem to neglect the belt, and without a good belt, the rest of your everyday carry setup can totally be destroyed. I've run really cheap belts when I first got into concealed carry and carrying a gun every day, and I didn't really fully understand how much of a difference a quality belt could make until I started getting into the nicer belts. And since then, I will not leave the house unless I'm wearing a quality, well-built belt that is specifically designed for you to carry a lot of stuff on your belt. Now, specifically, the belt I'm wearing right now is from a company called Core. It's one of their Trackline belts. It's a really interesting design. They've been around for a couple of years now, so you guys may have seen it already somewhere on some other people's channels. But they reached out to me to see if I would do a review on this belt. And obviously I said yes, because I'd wanted to try it out anyway. So just FYI, I did not pay for this belt. But that said, I think you'll see that you're getting my straight, honest opinion on it. And so with that, what I'm going to go ahead and do is bring in a little bit closer, and we'll talk about how this belt works, what makes it a little bit different from maybe other belts that you guys have seen or other belts that you may be using right now, and why I think that this is a really cool design for anyone who's carrying a gun or mags or anything else. So before I get too far here, I want to apologize right off the bat for the pasty whiteness that you're about to see. Hopefully it doesn't blow out the exposure on my camera, but you know, I guess we'll have to just find out. But as you can see right here, I have the Core Trackline belt with this specific belt buckle. I can't remember which model this is. I'll have it over here along with some of the other details that I think are important to know about this belt. And as you can see, I'm carrying a Glock 19 with a backup mag. This is pretty much how I'm set up every single day. And I have a lot of other stuff in my pockets as well. Everything from knives to medical kits to multi-tools to my wallet, keys, phone, flashlight, a little credentials wallet for all my certifications and all that. So I'm carrying a lot of weight in these pants, and if you're wearing just a regular cheap belt from Walmart, it's not going to work. It just straight up is not going to feel comfortable. Your gun is going to come flopping out on you. It's just not a good situation. As you can see now, at least with the tightness that I have it at, yeah, you know, if people are looking hard, you can definitely tell that I'm printing a little bit, but it does keep everything nice and tight to my body and keeps everything nice and concealed. Now, this is also the tightness on the belt that I had when I was driving here to the range, and everything was nice and comfortable then. However, if I did need to adjust the tightness of this belt, that's something I can easily do on the fly. It's something I'll go ahead and demonstrate right now. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly how this belt works. If you look here, you can see that there's basically almost like a zip tie style line here in the first foot or so of the working end of this belt. And how that works is it interfaces here in the buckle with this little tooth grabber thing. And as you insert your belt through, you can see that it will click into place with whatever depth you want. What that does is it allows you for a lot higher precision as far as the level of adjustment you want in your belt. If you've used a regular belt before, you just have your holes spaced out every inch or so. This gives you, I think, one every quarter inch, which means you have a lot finer adjustment in there. And the nice thing too is while you're wearing the belt, if let's say you've had a large meal, I know there have been times in the past where after eating something, I'll be able to reach up underneath and using your little release lever here, be able to loosen those teeth up a little bit and give yourself a little bit more breathing room. So if that's something you want to do, then that's more power to you. Now, as far as how you get this belt to adjust to you specifically, On the other end of the belt here, you have markings for whatever your waist measurement is. Now, as you can maybe guess from looking at me before, I do not actually have a 39-inch waist. However, what I wanted to be able to do was, in case any wear and tear happens to this end of the belt, I can always cut off more and then reattach this on here. The way this works is you just have this little pull tab here, and it has a bunch of teeth. You just insert your belt into there, and then you lock that little tab down, and that's gonna lock it into place on this end of the belt. And I've been wearing this for a few months now, and I can say that I've never once had this part come loose on me. You know, I don't know if that's a normal thing for a lot of other people, but again, for myself, I have not had this come loose once. And really, that's what I want. Last thing I want while I'm just walking around every day is for my belt to come loose on this end and now have a completely inoperable belt. But again, should that happen, you can just cut off another section and then reattach it there. So I gave myself a good few inches before I have to actually start worrying about having to get a new belt. Now, they do come with a couple different designs for the belt buckle. This one here is what I went with. I believe they also have a more like skeletonized version. But the thing that I really like about this belt versus other belts that I've used in the past that are designed for everyday carry is this looks like, you know, your everyday formal, fancy, you know, business belt. Nothing about this screams tactical, screams, you know, gun owner or anything like that. This is a belt that I wish I had when I was working at one of my previous jobs where I had to wear a button-up shirt and slacks every single day. The belt I was using was not ideal for it, but it was the only nice belt that I had. This would have served both as a nice belt and then also as a gun-carrying belt. Now, I keep throwing that term around, gun belt or belt designed for carrying a gun. What exactly does that mean? So really, there's a couple of criteria that a good gun belt should have. One is that when you hold it up, it doesn't collapse on itself. That's going to show a level of rigidity. And then the other big thing is when you squeeze the belt, you know, squeeze it together like this, you don't want it to crush. As you may be able to guess, there's basically a strengthening band underneath this belt that prevents it from crushing. The difference that makes is, let's say I'm carrying the gun on me, and I have it again here, in the appendix position. If that gun, you know, granted a Glock 19 fully loaded, isn't exactly a super lightweight gun, and the last thing you want is for your belt to be able to flex out and let that gun come flopping out, which is going to make it print even more. A rigid belt is going to keep everything nice and tight to you, and that's, again, exactly what this belt does. Now, one of the things that I like about this over some other belts that I've used in the past, other than not screaming super tactical man, is that it's really easy to put on. It puts on just like a regular belt. Let me go ahead and move the camera, and I'll show you exactly how that works. I just take my belt. I've got a bunch of brass on the ground that I got to move away. Just take the belt and just feed it through like a regular belt. You know, just going through every belt loop. Just FYI, these are Vertex pants, in case anyone was wondering. Really like them. Much better than 511 pants, in my opinion. And then you just insert into the buckle and then pull until it gets to where you want it. I'll usually go a little bit loose because that way, once I put my gun in, I'm able to adjust it. I can just tuck this working end away. Let me grab my gun. I'll just slide that in there. And then let's say I wasn't going to carry a backup mag today. I just wanted to carry my gun. At that point, I can just adjust the tension on the belt and tighten it up as much as I need to. If I go too tight, I can reach the little adjustment or the release tab right here and then just kind of loosen it out until it feels comfortable. And that's really as easy as it gets. Again, with other belts I've had before, with like a Cobra buckle or anything like that, you have to completely take it off, adjust the tension on it, put it back together, feed it back through. It can be a little bit more time consuming. Whereas this, it's really easy to change on the fly, but then again, nice and secure enough to where I don't have to worry about it coming loose or coming apart while I'm carrying. So to wrap up my thoughts about the Core Trackline belt, I think it's a really good option for anyone who has to carry in a business setting or more formal setting, whether that be going to church, going to the office, going to a wedding, anything like that. This is the kind of belt where if I have to tuck in my shirt, this again is not going to scream, I have a gun, whereas some other belts that I have will do that. Now, if I'm, just walking around the mall or at school or anything like that, I don't really care, especially since I don't have my shirt tucked in. But again, in those formal settings like at work, church, any of those, weddings, this is the perfect belt. I honestly wish I'd had this belt a little bit sooner because again, I had seen other people use them in the past. My friend, the Haas USMC, I know he's had a couple. So I'd wanted to get my hands on one. Then I was lucky enough to have the owner contact me and see if I wanted to try one of the belts out. So obviously, again, I said yes because I'd wanted to, and they sent me one out, and I've been wearing it ever since. Now, again, there's a big difference between just carrying it and then actually having to use it. So the reason I waited this long to actually do the review was this last weekend. I took a class with the Dave Biggers Experience, the Red Zone class, which I'll hopefully have a video up of here soon. And I wanted to really run this belt through a class before I did my review on it to see if it was sturdy enough to hold up to me actually running around, doing a bunch of maneuvers, working off the ground. And this belt held up just fine. I had no issues with it, never came loose, never came apart on me, so that's obviously a really good thing. One of the other things that's nice about this belt option, again, you do have a couple different choices for the belt buckle. If you want a different look, you can go with a couple different colors for the belt itself. I think they have the brown and the black. So depending on how you normally dress, it can work itself really well into your whatever you're wearing already. If I had to pick one thing that I maybe didn't like as much about this belt as other belts I've used, is it doesn't scream bomb-proof like some of the other belts I've used. That said, I have no reason to necessarily say that because, again, it's been 100% for me over the few months that I've been wearing it. But just the whole design and the way the belt buckle works isn't necessarily as robust as some other designs out there. Again, with the previous belt I was wearing, I've seen videos of people driving two vehicles apart with them. And I don't know that this would hold up to that just because the leather that the belt itself is made out of and the way that the belt buckle works. You're probably not going to want to do that with this belt, but again, for everyday carry, it's more than enough. So if any of you have any experience with these Core Trackline belts, please put those in the comments section down below. I always want as much input as possible for people trying to make up their mind on a product like this. If you have other belts that you've liked in the past that you've run, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below as well. Giving people options is always a nice thing. And I always like to know what you guys are working with. It's definitely a step up from those Walmart belts or JCPenney belts that I used to wear before learning how much of a difference a belt like this made. If you are running one of those cheap Walmart or JCPenney belts, please do yourself the favor and buy a belt like this because, again, you don't realize how much of a difference it makes until you start running a belt like this, and it'll open your eyes pretty quick. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. But as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.